Hello, I am Super Orange Cat, and here I am today with Toonami's ratings for November 2nd, 2019. Let's start at the top of the block. The rerun of Dragon Ball Super pulls in a .20 this week. One Punch Man pulls in a .18. Dr. Stone pulls in a .17. Fire Force at a .15. Food Wars at a .14. Demon Slayer at a .14. Black Clover at a .14. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind is at a .12. Naruto Shippuden at a .11. Lupin the Third Part 5 at a .08. And a rerun of My Hero Academia pulled in a .07. In general, this was another, relative to last week, this was more of a mixed bag, although I'll argue it was actually a little worse. Most notably because I'm starting to think with the last rerun of Dragon Ball Super, the magic of Dragon Ball is finally wearing off on the block, as it barely pulled in a .20 by itself, which is something you would typically expect for a show that, and specifically an episode that is rerun, I think 3 times in like 8 weeks now, with it actually originally airing, with it being re yeah, with it airing now twice in like 4 or 5 weeks, and then now you have, and it's off the block. Say goodbye. This is the last time we're seeing Dragon Ball for a long time. Maybe the last time we'll ever see new Dragon Ball on the block. We'll see. Only time can tell. And then you have One Punch Man, probably the biggest disappointment of the week in my opinion. It looked like for a while it was going to be a steady tent post early in the block. Pulled in a .23 last week. And it's rare these days to get a Toonami show over .2, which doesn't have the words Dragon Ball in its name. So it seemed really special. However, some of its luster fell off this week. It's at a .18. Despite it being, I think One Punch Man season 2 so far has been pretty good, but I guess is my opinion. And you have Dr. Stone dropping a little bit to .17. In terms of ratings, it's starting to remind me of like Promised Neverland, where it got quite a bit of hype going into it because a lot of people really loving it, but pulling in somewhat subpar ratings when it actually gets to the block. Although the main difference in my opinion is I personally loved Promised Neverland much more than Dr. Stone. I only casually follow Dr. Stone now. It hasn't really grabbed my attention the way I thought it would with the science angle early on. But I guess that's just my opinion. Fire Force at a .15. It's starting to fall off a bit. And it's not good when the show after it, Food Wars, which I've already said is starting to turn into a bit of a bust on the block, almost beats it. Food Wars at a .14. It's steady, so it's not that bad, I guess. But at the same time, I mean, we have Food Wars for probably the next 30-something weeks, too. I fully expect it to start slowly climbing down the block, Hunter x Hunter style. Don't be surprised if whatever time next year it's supposed to end, it will be the last slot on the block, because that's what I'm expecting. And then now you have Demon Slayer, the weekly focus on Demon Slayer here. Demon Slayer did okay. It went up to 100 actually, and I can definitely see why from the episode. I've been still watching through, and this was probably the best of the 4 episodes so far. There's actually action. There's some interesting lore, at least in my opinion here. And it's something I really think the show can keep building on. If it keeps building with the angles it was really setting up in this episode, especially with like the 1 week test on the mountain, I can definitely start to see why Demon Slayer became as big as it is. And that's another notable thing about Demon Slayer. It the manga for Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, in Japan is outselling One Piece right now. That's a pretty high mark to set since One Piece is kind of the be all end all in terms of manga sales in Japan for the longest time. So that's just high praise to how much Demon Slayer has been captivating Japan right now. And maybe this small uptick this week is a forebear of some type of big increase in the future. Maybe this becomes a tent post for the block, but I digress. And then after there, you have debatably the biggest winner of the block this week, Black Clover going up 400s. I don't have the specific 18 to 49 total viewers, but it has the same rating as Demon Slayer. And it'll be pretty impressive considering that Black Clover is on before 3 o'clock, if it ends up actually beating Demon Slayer in the ratings. And oh yeah, one little note about Demon Slayer, it slightly did beat out build on Food Wars in the key demographic. I could tell because Showbuzz Daily ranks the shows, the cable rated shows for that week, and it was rated as 37th, and Food Wars was rated as 39th, despite them having the same rounded to the 100th number. And then now after Black Clover, you have Golden Wind. It picked up a little, but again, for as big a name JoJo really is, a .12 isn't necessarily that good, even this late in the block. But if I recall correctly, Diamond is Unbreakable at periods did have stretches where it was getting disappointing ratings. So again, like I said, my theory, maybe it's because JoJo JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has just more of a very devout cult fandom where it seems like they're much larger than they are, but really it's just the fact that the fans that are fans of the show are just that much more devout to it, which is something you definitely see online. There's definitely a lot of JoJo fans online, and maybe that's not necessarily translating to 2:30 in the morning Saturday night. And then you have Shippuden steady to .11. I've already gone over Shippuden many times. It's going to be here for the long haul. It's going to be here until late 2024 when we finally hit the 500th episode of Naruto Shippuden. And a .11 isn't that bad, especially when we look at the show right after it, Lupin the Third Part 5. I mentioned earlier the rankings for cable shows that aired on Saturdays. Usually Lupin the Third is the latest new show ranked, and usually on a bad day, it would be ranked somewhere between like 51st and 60th. This week, it was the 91st highest rated new cable show episode on Saturday with a .08. I think this is the second time it's been below a .10. And again, at this point, Lupin the Third just feels more like block filler than an actual show brought in for the viewers. Because I think since Toonami has come back on the air in 2002, not 2002, 2012, it's acquired every new Lupin show. And it's not necessarily a fan favorite. It's kind of a cult favorite too, but with not necessarily as loud or as present a fandom as JoJo. So, again, just disappointing numbers for it. I think there's only a few weeks left for it. I think it leaves the block in December. I'm not 100% certain on that. And then you have My Hero Academia rerun of a season 3, the last season 3 episode, I believe, .07. You can't really put any stock in that because it's a rerun put at 3:30 in the morning. But the big test next week, My Hero Academia season 4 dub premiere on Toonami at 11 o'clock. And it's going to be interesting to see how My Hero Academia, new episodes of My Hero Academia, will fare as the lead-in for the block. Because for forever now, we've had Dragon Ball become the lead-in for the block. And it's going to be interesting to see what any show would do following up after, like, I think Primal is still the lead-in for the block. So, like, the question is My Hero Academia a compatible enough show with Primal, with the main Adult Swim lineup, that it can carry over viewers, build viewers into Toonami? I'm going to cautiously say yes to that. My Hero Academia, I think like 4 or 5 years in, is still a pretty big property of anime right now. It might be overall one of the top 3 biggest names that are still producing material in anime, and it's going to be interesting to see what the numbers will be. If I had to lay down a prediction, my guess is that My Hero Academia will pull in a .22 in the ratings next week. It seems kind of fair. It feels like the type of show that'll definitely pull in a .20, though I don't think it'll ever hit Dragon Ball Super numbers of like .3 something or .4 something. And at the same time, maybe it holds well. Maybe it's a bust. What do you guys think? Leave your opinions down below. I love reading your comments. If you like this, if you want more Toonami's ratings content, please like this video, please subscribe, and please hit that notification button. I am Super Orange Cat. And that is all.